We're very happy to have with us today Dr. Samir Maqdisi, the ex-Minister of Economy in Lebanon, assumed one time also President of the American University of Beirut, the chair of the Economics Department, a new institute, Financial Monetary Economics. And I take great pride, I'm his student. And it would be great to have him with us. And he is the father of three actually intellectuals that have really been on our program, or we all know about them: Sari, Osama, and Karim. Dr. Maqdisi, we are facing today some very major and all pervasive changes in the Middle East. We saw the fall of the Assad regime in such a very fast, and the replacement of the secular regime with a group that had in the past had relationship and context of being ISIS or Islamic groups. We have a ceasefire in Lebanon that is precarious but still holding, but it's coming to a critical moment. On the 27th, Israel supposed to completely withdraw from Lebanon and is now dragging its feet. There is the ceasefire in Gaza that it took so much time but really happened. There is now an election that took place in Lebanon where a new president and now a new prime minister is designated to form a government. And we have Mr. Trump assuming the presidency for the second time in the United States. Any one of these events and developments would have very substantive and deep changes in the region. Combined, it is a very critical change and could really change the landscape of the Middle East. So let me begin with you, Dr. Maqdisi. How do you assess the implication of the fall of the Assad regime on Lebanon and the region, and on some of the fundamental parameters that define the region?
Atif, thank you very much for entertaining me on this program. And should I say that you are one of the best students at AUB? Well, maybe I should not say that, but let me say it anyhow.
You never mentioned this before.
Well, I'm saying it now, okay? On your question, I think what has happened in Syria is extremely important with regard to Lebanon. The problem is that we are not quite sure. It will be very difficult at this moment to determine its impact. I mean, if you notice, the Syrian regime has not taken a position vis-a-vis Israel. I have not heard a word from Shara on Netanyahu. I think I'm right? Nothing has been said that we have a problem with Israel.
Yeah.
So that is a very major question that we have to face. Where does the new Syria stand vis-a-vis Israel today? And I hope it's not going to be really a pro-Israel stand. This is my hope, and I hope that the Syrian people will not accept that.
Yeah.
So the problem we are facing today in Lebanon is that the Syrian position vis-a-vis Lebanon is very unclear. It is yet to be determined. It's yet to be set, and it's yet to be, made very clear as to where they stand.
Yeah.
If the Syrian regime says no, we will not want any solution to the problem to our solution with Israel until Palestine gets into being, until the Palestinians get the right. That's one thing. If they say forget Palestine, that's something else, because we have a very major problem in this regard. So it is very, very, very unclear as to how we should really behave vis-a-vis the Syrians.
Yeah.
Where does the Lebanese government stand? It's not clear. I mean, even the present government today is not clear vis-a-vis how it's going to stand vis-a-vis the borders. very soon, in 2-3 days' time, the Israelis are supposed to withdraw, but they don't intend to withdraw from the Lebanese border. So it seems, right?
Yeah.
So the question is, what would Lebanon do in case the Israelis would force this, refuse to withdraw from completely from the borders of Lebanon and with Israel or with Palestine?
Yeah.
And I mean, we are facing, in other words, Atif, we are facing very issues that are really unpredictable, and you have to wait and see what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Hopefully, the people in Lebanon will force the government to take a very strong position vis-a-vis the non-withdrawal of Israelis.
Yeah.
And not simply say, in my view, I'm afraid that they're going to say, oh, let's go to the UN and see what can be done.
Yeah.
What can the UN do with the American presence in the UN? What can they do? And I think they should in my opinion, they should threaten with the fact that Hezbollah will go back to action.
Yeah. And that seems to be possible. But let me just ask you a very simple question. There are so many uncertainties. I mean, I don't know how on earth you can reconcile a regime that is Islamist at its core with the secularists. How would you get the Turks to reconcile with the Kurds? How would you get the different, as you know, Syria is a very rich mosaic of so many different groups, whether it is the Alawites or the Druze or the Christians or the secularists, the nationalists. So there are so many imponderables. Are you optimistic, or would you think that there are still some very real threatening, what we could call, silent bombs, so to speak, that could explode on us?
No, I'm not really, I cannot say I'm optimistic. I would like to be hopeful. I would like to be hopeful that Sharia would understand that an Islamist Syria will not go through in the region, and that they have to change. Now the question is he able to do that? I don't know who is back in Sharia, and I don't know what the position of Turkey is in this regard. No, I think the questions you're raising are very, very fundamental questions, but very difficult questions to answer.
Absolutely.
And the improbables are there. I mean, it's really very difficult to tell how things are going to go. One can only hope that don't forget, Sharia came from a fundamentalist group, right?
Yes.
Has he changed?
No.
Will he be able to change the group? I mean, is he really what he tells, now he's wearing a tie, right?
Yeah.
Jacket and a tie and everything. But what does that mean? Is it simply a decor? Is something to tell you that, well, I'm different, I'm modern, I want to talk to you in a modern way? Or is this something which is simply to cover up for still hidden fundamental issues that they have in the back of their minds?
Okay,
I'm not sure. It's a very difficult question to answer. I'm not sure.
Absolutely. But let me, ask you the following. What measures, what steps, what decisions should they make that would make you feel comfortable?
Who, in Syria, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, not to come out and say that we are going to change we've already changed the constitution, right? They're trying to change the constitution. That Syria is a Islamic state, and that the Christians and Druze and the rest of the people are sort of added sects in Syria. I think they should keep the fundamental constitution of the previous Syrian regime, that it should be a secularist regime, all right, with an Islamic state as it used to be, but with a secularist regime, and not go towards changes whereby you are saying that the Islamic sect is at the front, at the top, and the others follow. I think that would be very, very difficult, very, very, very dangerous. And there are some signs that his followers are trying to do that. And I hope this will not come through.
Yeah. We want it to be more open, more inclusive, and
Absolutely.
and in a way to make sure that the whole society is engaged and allowed to participate, so that it's not the exclusive control of one,
Of
that
one
we move
confession.
from, yeah, move from one dictatorship into another. So this is
Another,
the other one you already mentioned. You would like a clear statement and position about how does Syria look towards Israel, and how does it treat, and as you know, Israel took advantage of the changes and already increased and expanded,
occupying.
yeah,
Sure.
its occupation of Syria. So
Absolutely. I don't see that. Have you heard them say anything about Israel? Have you heard the Syrian regime make a statement concerning the occupation of some Syrian land?
no, I
I
didn't.
have not. I have not.
No,
And I find it strange. Even if you want to be a politician and speak politics, you could have said something about it, that this is not correct. It's not acceptable. All right, that for us in Syria, this is not something acceptable. But I don't see it coming through, and this makes me uneasy.
yeah,
It makes me uneasy as far as the position of the present Syrian regime vis-a-vis Israel and its aggression. Personally, it makes me uneasy, and I wish they would change their position.
sure. What about the situation of so many Syrians who had come to Lebanon running away from the
The previous regime.
civil war? Where do we, how do we see the future of this group that had come? Are they going to go back home? Under what circumstances? What would be the appropriate way of dealing with this issue?
I think for most of them, it's wait and see attitude. A few have gone back, but this is the minority. I think the rest find themselves established in Lebanon, and there is no reason for them to go back until they are until they are sure of how things are going to go there. I mean, after all, what gives them guarantees that they come back to their own work? What guarantees that they can go back and assume what they had before? There are no guarantees, Atif. There are no guarantees. The position of the Syrian regime is not clear. They still have problems in the north, right? They still have problems in the south. Syria is not united. Turkey is there. The Kurds are still there. The Druze in the south are still there. Syria is yet to be unified. Syria is yet to achieve peace. Syria is yet to set its space among the Arab countries.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
So why would you go back to a country where uncertainties still prevail?
Yeah.
I wouldn't if I were Syrian.
Okay. I want to take you to a new development. Actually, this morning, the Israelis are saying that we are not going to abide by the agreement we reached about withdrawing our
Order.
forces, as the agreement included, to vacate it and give it to the Lebanese army. Lebanese army has already spread, has shown its capacity, has shown its willingness. The Israelis are dragging their feet. This would be a violation. This would be a major violation
Absolutely.
of the agreement.
Absolutely.
And now,
Absolutely.
how and what can the Lebanese, what should the community that overseen this agreement do to make sure that it doesn't unravel and we go back to the uh, state of war that we were in?
Well, you want the truth?
Yes.
I'm now, like you, waiting to see what the president is going to say, what the prime minister is going to say, what the government is going to say about this.
Yeah.
My personal view, as a simple Lebanese citizen, I would like to see the army go there. I would like them to permit Hezbollah to go to the front if they refuse to withdraw. That if you're not going to withdraw, we're not going to have peace, and that we're willing to fight. I mean, this is my position, my personal position. But to go to and say that we're going to go to the UN and let's talk with the Security Council, where will this take us to? I mean, there is, UN will not do anything. The US is with them, and there's nothing we can do at the UN or the Security Council. I think the Lebanese government should take a very strong stand, refusing absolutely the position of Israel, and that if they are not going to agree to withdraw within a very short period of time, that they were not responsible for the reaction of Hezbollah. I think they should use Hezbollah as a weapon of threat against Israel. That is my position. Now,
Yeah,
I don't know whether I'm being too too severe in my assessment, but I think, I mean, how would you make the Israelis withdraw? They only understand the language of force, Atif,
yeah.
right?
But
Do
they
they
are
understand LDR language?
But Dr. Samir, there are 5 parties that had concluded this agreement and had persuaded the Lebanese, and apparently the Israelis abided by it, but they were supposed to leave by the 27th of this month. And
Right.
today, the cabinet said, we're not. They are violating it. It's the
Absolutely.
responsibility of this party that had concluded and persuaded the Lebanese to accept it, that they have a responsibility here to say to the Israelis, you are in violating the agreement and you're responsible. And this, we, the French and, the Europeans, the Qataris, whoever the parties were, have an obligation to make sure that Israel abide by it.
Yes, and I think this is the position that the government will take. Now, my reading of it, the way I see it now in Lebanon, is that Hezbollah is waiting to see whether, in fact, they will go into action on the 27th or not, whether they will give it some time, and they will tell the government, okay, do what you can, let's see what you can do.
Okay.
Maybe Hezbollah will tell the Lebanese government, okay, you are now the responsible authorities on the border. Let's see what you can do about it. You want to do the UN? Would the UN help you? Would the UN make Israelis withdraw? If not, then we would take action. Now, I doubt that, I don't know, this is my personal opinion. I think that Hezbollah is not going to act immediately. Hezbollah is going to tell the government, okay, we have a problem. The Israelis are not withdrawing. And you said that they should withdraw. And you want to go to the UN. Go to the UN. Do you get anything from the UN? If we don't get anything from the UN, then we have our own option to act. And then what can you tell Hezbollah not to act? I mean, I really, it's a big problem.
To what extent the change in government? I mean, we knew that President Biden was on their side. I mean, he spoke from both sides of his mouth, but all his actions were in support of the Israelis. Will Trump maintain this? He had made lots of noise that when he comes, he wants everything solved and he does not want violence and war and everything should come. Where do you think Trump stands on this?
Atif, there's one big advantage of Trump. There's one big advantage. He's not a man of principles, is he? I mean, he does not have any political ideology to which he sticks. I mean, he does what he thinks is suitable for him. So it could go in various directions.
Yeah.
I think if Trump thinks that his interest is to stop the war or to make the Israelis withdraw, he will make them withdraw. If he thinks it does not concern him, he doesn't care. I don't think Trump has any ideology. I mean, he's not a president with ideology. I mean, in that sense, he is in a sense suitable for us because he has no ideology. But also, we have to pay a price because we never can tell how he may act. I mean, I have no idea how he may act.
But what about the fact that he has now a Lebanese son-in-law? Does it make any difference?
But how influential is his Lebanese son-in-law? Whom does he have as his Secretary of State? A very pro-Israeli Secretary of State, right?
Yes.
Very, very pro-Israeli Secretary of State. I mean, I hope that his son-in-law that his father-in-law, right? Or
Yeah.
his son-in-law
Son-in-law.
will be able to influence them somehow. But we have to wait and see. I'm not sure.
Well,
But he has appointed 3 people to the state, to the administration that are very, very pro-Israeli.
I know, but one thing, that went through the election is that Mr. Trump would have never won Michigan, would not have won.
Without the Lebanese, without the Arab vote.
Yeah. So to some extent, I think the father of his son-in-law, who is appointed to facilitate and bring some support, and he was successful. This would be an affront to all these people who had been promised that Mr. Trump is going to deal fairly in this area, and now he and his administration are betraying the very people that brought him to power. Is there any?
But think of it. Is Trump going to run? I don't know. Is Trump going to run again?
No. No, he's not.
So this means that he doesn't give a damn. I don't think he gives a damn that he had promised them. And I mean, this is my feeling that, okay, yeah, I told you that. I promised you. I'll try. But the fact that he is not going to run again is he is not going to get their vote or the support against it. It makes him free in whatever he wants to do. The advantage of Trump for us is that he's unpredictable. But there's also a disadvantage because we don't know what he's going to do.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a very unpredictable fellow.
No. Yeah, the very fact that he is not going to run means that any electoral or election
promises
consideration is no longer relevant.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's the argument you're giving.
Yes.
All right. Now, one thing that is coming very clear: Mr. Trump and Europeans don't see eye to eye on things. Is there any chance of a European independent action from the American, or is this wishful thinking?
I think it's more wishful thinking. I think the Europeans are too weak, Atif. They don't have the muscle anymore that they used to have before. I think they're very much dependent on the American to enforce whatever they want to enforce in the Middle East or in other places of the world. I think they cannot do anything without the Americans. And anyhow, are the Europeans united in their viewpoint?
Yeah.
Do they have one point? Is there one European point of view about the Middle East?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either.
Yeah.
But Mr. Trump is transactional. People, define his strategies, things in transactional terms. Yesterday, if not this morning for us here, the Saudis had promised to invest $600 billion in the US. Does this give the Saudis any leverage on this issue? Would they use this leverage in the interest of people like Lebanon? Things where things stand? How would Mr. Trump react to all these things? Does he put all these things on the table, or are completely dismissed as unimportant?
Well, I think in principle, in theory, it does give them some leverage, yes. The question is, what do they want? Do they want to use it? What is they want? What do the Saudis want?
Yeah.
I mean, if they want to bring the American view, it's very clear. They will tell the Americans, pressure the Israelis to withdraw from Lebanon. I mean, why can't they do that? Would they do it? Yeah. I don't know. I'm not sure, Atif. I mean, I think that they're. I'm not sure to what extent the Arab support of the so-called Lebanese cause goes through in practice.
Okay. I want to bring you to another point which is related to this. Iran is no longer in the equation, so to speak. I mean, the fall of the Assad regime was a major blow to them. And the war has, to a great extent, really weakened the resistance axis, whatever it is. Is there any likelihood that Turkey would play a role in Syria and in Lebanon in a way that would balance, or let's say replace, the Iranian pressure on the Israelis, or this is wishful thinking again?
No, I don't think so. I think that my impression is that the position of Turkey vis-a-vis Israel is not the same as Iran's. So therefore, they will not pressure the Israelis for the sake of Syria or Lebanon, as would Iran have done.
Yeah.
So I think Turkey has its own interest. Turkey would like to establish its own influence in Syria and the rest of the Middle East. And they are, don't forget that they are very friendly with Israel. I don't see the Turks cutting off. Up till now, they have done nothing. They have not even cut relations with Israel.
No, I
On
mean,
account,
sorry, no, go ahead. Sorry,
no, I mean, Israel has not taken any action that shows it is disappointed with what Israel is doing. No real action, no diplomatic action. So why would Turkey want? Why would Turkey want to, pressure Israel for the sake of the Arab cause? No, I don't see it. I think Turkey has its own interests. Turkey would like to extend its influence in Syria and perhaps in the rest of the Arab East, if possible. And this is why the Saudis now are up in arms. I mean, why did Saudi Arabia suddenly come to Lebanon now and telling the Lebanese you should not really go and follow Turkey's role, and they were afraid that they will follow the Syria's role in this. Why did Meati go out of the office? Why did they bring Nawaf Salam?
Yeah.
I mean, all this indicates that the Saudis are concerned about increasing Turkish influence in the area, and they don't want, because if the Turkish influence increases, this means that Muslim Brotherhood influence increases. Am I right? And if the Muslim Brotherhood increases, this poses a threat to Saudi Arabia. They're afraid. So the counter, this sudden, I mean, Saudi Arabia for many years was taking a standoff from Lebanon. Right? This is the way with Lebanon. Suddenly, all of a sudden, they Meati, they brought in Nawaf, and the foreign minister came in, the ambassador came in, and they told the Lebanese what should be done politically.
Yeah.
They are concerned about increasing Turkish influence in the area here, which
Yeah.
and hence Muslim Brotherhood.
Yeah, the foreign minister of Saudi Arabia, Prince Farhan, was already in Lebanon. Now he's in Syria. There is a very
Yes.
serious concern on the part of the Saudi of a change in the way Syria is governed that might give more power to parties Saudi Arabia feels threatened.
Especially they're afraid of the Muslim Brotherhood influence. And don't forget that the Syrian regime is basically, comes out from the Muslim Brotherhood web. So they're concerned. They're very concerned. And it's in fact, the Saudi involvement in Lebanon is very sudden, but very forceful to come and tell the Lebanese who should be the president, who should be the prime minister, and almost what government we should have. I mean, على عينك يا تاجر. على عينك يا تاجر.
Yeah, is what you see is what you worry about. Okay, let me bring you to another fundamental question here. There is nothing in the Middle East or any development in the Middle East that is decoupled, divorced, separated from some gas or oil aspects. At one time, Qatar wanted to build a pipeline that would take its gas and its oil to the European market through Syria, and Syria did not go with it. And some have attributed the big troubles and the support of the Qataris to Turkey and to the Muslim Brotherhood and to Daesh had something to do with this. Now the situation has changed. Is Qatar and Turkey are working to create, rehabilitate this pipeline and bringing Qatar as the replacement of oil and gas in Europe, replacement of the Russian oil and gas.
Maybe I really do not know. I cannot answer this question, Atif. I probably what you are saying is right. Probably what you are hinting at makes sense. But will they be able to succeed is the question. And this is where the Saudis will move in and others will move in to see to it that this may not be the case. But I cannot give you an exact answer to a very difficult question that you're raising.
Yeah.
Maybe you know more about it than I do.
No, not necessarily, but I mean, look, I mean, the issue has been that Qatar was very unhappy and felt completely shoved and shunned by the Syrian regime that was aligned with the Russians, and the Russians really did not want competitors in Europe for their gas. And they believe that now that we moved off the Russians, and maybe we will be in a position to rekindle, bring alive this pipeline.
Absolutely, very, very possible.
Yes,
it could very well be the case.
Okay,
I'm with you on that.
Yeah, this brings me to another fundamental question. I don't know how to deal with it, but I'm sure I know that Sari and Dr. Sari, Dr. Osama have spoken about this, and Dr. Karim, your kids. What is the implication of the Syrian regime change to Russia? And how will this
implication where?
Is this a triumph
in
for
the
the
region, you mean? Implication in the regime in the region?
Well, no, in the sense that Russia is no longer in Syria. And, yesterday they asked them to abdicate the administration of the Ladiqiyya and Tartus.
Right, and they will leave. And I think that ultimately they were going to leave. They will leave Latakia. This is my impression. I think the Russians have lost. I think this is now an American game where things have to run the way the Americans would like to see it run. The Russians have lost. I mean, it's a game that they have lost. And the question is, the fundamental question we are facing now here in Lebanon is, well, how does this reflect or affect Hezbollah?
Yes.
And hence, how does it affect the position of Lebanon vis-a-vis Israel?
Yes.
I think these are the fundamental questions that we are facing.
Yeah.
Hezbollah says that they will not be, that they can still hold on, despite what happened to the Russians, despite the withdrawal from Syria and so on. But this is yet to be seen. I mean, maybe what is now going to come in the coming few days, in which when the Israelis are saying they're not going to withdraw totally from the borders, this could be a test to see to what extent Hezbollah will be able to influence things to come. But no doubt that Hezbollah has been hurt. No doubt that Hezbollah its power has been diminished, but it's still there. It's still there, a force. And those members in parliament, Atif, who are trying to say that Hezbollah is out, they're wrong. Hezbollah is not out. Hezbollah is still in Lebanon. And the Shia community basically supports Hezbollah.
Yeah.
Basically supports Hezbollah.
What's even more fundamental is they always talk about Hezbollah as if it's a foreign force that had been parachuted Lebanon. These are the people who live in the south. These are the people whose homes have been destroyed. This is the people whose farms have been, rendered unoperative. These are the people who have withstood all the encroachments of the Israelis. So to an extent, they did not go. They're there. And as long as Israel is in South Lebanon and wreaking the havoc, destroying homes, burning fields and forests, there is no way out of another confrontation.
Hence the major problem we are facing now.
Yeah.
That with the fall of Syria, with the withdrawal of Syria from the battlefield, so to speak, the question is to what extent will Lebanon be able to withstand an encroachment on the part of Israel? To what extent will Hezbollah be able to withstand pressures for it to dismantle? That is the question to be answered, is yet to be answered. And I don't know, I doubt whether we could have an immediate answer, but so far, I think the Shia community feels here that Hezbollah is tremendous support for it. And it gives it, strength within the Lebanese political order. I mean, look at what's happening in the government. Some, so-called Taghyiriyin, the Taghyiriyin, those who wanted to want Salam not to have Hezbollah at all in the government, or the Shia in the government, or the or at least the Hezbollah and Amal in the government. And he's saying, well, no, I mean, this is really goes against what the truth is. The truth is that these are fundamental forces in Lebanon that we cannot neglect. And they may not be outside the government. If they are going to be outside the government, it's going to weaken the government. So, I mean, we're in a very dynamic situation.
Right.
Some factions in Lebanon would like to maintain that the Shia community has been hit badly politically, and that Hezbollah and Amal have been hit badly, and hence why give them any say in the government?
Yeah.
But the facts are this is not so. Yes, they have been hit in the south, no doubt about that, no question about it. But they're still there, and they're still a force, and they're still part and parcel of the Lebanese community, and you cannot neglect them. I think it'd be a great mistake to neglect them. I think Nawaf Salam is right in trying to form a government where Amal and Hezbollah are part and parcel, fundamental part and parcel of this government. There's now battle going on, but you cannot. And the position of the so-called Taghyiriyin is wrong. They're assuming that they won. They did not win. Who won were the Americans and the other powers that be. I mean, they seem to believe that they brought about the change, and which is really I don't know what to say about them. But ولاد صغار, I don't know. I don't understand. I mean, it's really unacceptable position.
Well, look, we have a new dynamic. It was something almost miraculous, I would say, that we elected a president and we brought in a very respected, distinguished prime minister. People are talking about the new hope they have, and that speech or opening speech of the president elected. Some people call it an oath, that this represented his commitment. Yeah. And it sounded so good and so professional and so decent. How successful is he going to be? What do you think?
Well, I wish I can answer this question. I wish I can answer this question.
Try, at least try.
I think that if Nawaf is able to form a government that includes Hezbollah and Amal, I think there is a chance of success because people want change. And he was able to get some good people in the government. Some things, and the fact that the situation in the Middle East has changed, which is to their favor. I think the possibilities are there that, we can move ahead. But you know, Lebanon. It's this fantastic administrative setup that will need to change, and you have to change. Or not only that, you have to change the mentality of how people think here. I mean that politics is not simply individual gain, but you have to think of something which is called the common good. Now, hopefully, if he brings in some of the people that think along those lines, some change may take place, and at least the new situation would help in this direction. I'm somewhat hopeful. If he is successful in forming a good government. I'm somewhat hopeful that we can move in the right direction. But I'm not sure. I mean, I have to wait and see.
At least we're both hopeful. I mean, we'd like
Yes,
to give
yes,
this group a chance because
absolutely.
the rhetoric that they have used so far is extremely hopeful and extremely
Absolutely.
positive.
I mean, the speech of the president was very good. It's a very excellent speech that he
Yeah.
gave at the time that he assumed. It has, but note, it mentioned nothing about the South, except indirectly that we've got to protect Lebanese sovereignty, which you can interpret as including that if need be, we will do everything in our powers, including a fight, to protect our sovereignty.
Yeah.
So it is subject to various interpretations, but it was sufficiently comprehensive and well written to be acceptable by most Lebanese.
My most. Yeah. One thing that you and I, as economists, one fundamental issue: how can we revive the Lebanese economy?
As
It's the
scholars,
linchpin of any
Atif,
future.
as scholars, not as economists, as scholars. As
Yes.
scholars, yeah,
Okay.
because economists are sometimes can be very, very slow-minded. Yeah.
Okay.
What's the question? Sorry, what's the question?
How can we rehabilitate the Lebanese economy? It's the linchpin of any success. And one important aspect that seemed to have energized the Lebanese is his promise that he will try to compensate the Lebanese who have been defrauded of their deposits in the banking system.
And I think this is I think, you and I know the fundamentals of how we should revive the Lebanese economy. And that the business of protecting deposits is a very important thing, because if we don't protect the deposits, I mean, if you don't say, for example, that, okay, we cannot pay now, fine, you cannot pay. Of course you cannot pay now, but we can pay over time. We can reschedule the debt.
Exactly.
And that's not a miracle. It has been done in many countries. We're not inventing something new, The fact that you can reschedule over 5, 6, 7, or even 10 years, it can be done. The question is to be able to accept that the government accept the advice of experts in this field, financial experts and political experts in this field, and go along. And I think it's now almost accepted generally that if you do away with the deposits, you are doing away with the confidence in the banking system. Would you put your money in the banking system if deposits go? What would guarantee that 10 years from now or 5 years from now, not the same thing will happen?
But look,
there's no guarantee.
No, but it's very important. At the moment, there is nothing. They have been defrauded. They have lost their money. Any positive direction, a movement in that direction where the people will be given the hope that they might recover a part of what they have lost.
Will bring confidence.
Yeah, will restore confidence.
Absolutely. That's why I mean, our position is, I think, that if you do not take this position, this stand, confidence in the Lebanese banking system will never be regained.
Yeah, yeah.
Or, I mean, if I want to put money, I will not put it as savings account. I put it as a current account from day to day, just for financial transactions. Would I want to put my money for 2 years in the Lebanese bank when I know the same thing may happen again? No.
Yeah, but that's why.
Sorry?
That's why I think if the new government can engender some confidence and hope. Lebanon had, to a great extent, been a success story, and to a great extent led by a banking system that was able to mobilize not only Lebanese savings but even world, savings that came. And if this Lebanese banking system remains mired in dizzying depression and dissolution, there is no hope for the Lebanese.
Absolutely. And there are, I mean, we can do it. It can be done.
Yes.
It can be done. It's very simple. I mean, if you can sort of have if the new government can have a new financial program, part of this new financial economic program that we are going to maintain deposits over time. That, I think, would give a tremendous injection to the
Yes.
Lebanese banking system. That, don't worry, all right, we've had a problem. You're not going to have your money now, but it's not, you're not going to lose it. Hence, if I'm going to put my money now in the banking system, I know it's going to be lost. It's not going to be lost 2, 3, or 4 years from now. So we need a financial program, an economic financial program that includes this business of rehabilitating the banking system, part of which is that the deposits will be stay in place, but we cannot pay it. It will be paid over time, rescheduled over time. And that's what they ought to do. That's what they've done.
You're absolutely right. I mean, as you know, so many countries, whether it is Argentina, whether it was Greece, and
They have
these
done it.
really advanced and very vital, vibrant economies,
Absolutely.
they recovered, and they recovered by rescheduling, and that's what you
Absolutely.
argue.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And there is hope. And the issue is we lost that confidence in the. It's going to take a lot of time and measure and persuasion for people to regain that confidence. But the beginning is there. For the first time, we have a government that there is a coalition and consistent groups supporting it. Unusual in the Lebanese political
Right.
arena. So,
Hopefully
how can we
it'll be.
capitalize on it?
I mean, I think we should build on this. We should build on the fact that there is a general acceptance, general want that things should move up,
Yeah.
and that they are bringing people to the government that are honest and acceptable to the public, and that the old system of doing things is going to be dismantled. Now, the president is supposed to be a new man, that he has a good reputation of going forward, and so is the promise the coming prime minister. So we have every reason why we cannot go in, why we should not go in this direction that you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's not a very difficult. It's not Atif, that it's not difficult to have an economic program. It can be done very easily, the financial program. Well, the question is, can it be implemented politically? Can you bring it in and have it done politically and convince those in power that this is what ought to take place? I mean, that's the whole point.
That's precisely it. Look, what we hear that there is lots of commotion, and that a new government is coming and is going to be basically representing the full spectrum of groups, but it's going to be people with talent, with professionalism, with expertise. Is there any information as?
It's not clear. I mean, I hear of names who are professionals, but I think the parties concerned are insisting that whoever comes, even the professional, that be from their side. I mean, even if I am a Tayyar Watani Hor, I would get somebody who believes in the Tayyar Watani Hor. So only I think the prime minister can bring a few people only very independently.
Yeah.
In 1992, this happened. This happened in 1992 at the time of Rashid Sulah.
Yes,
was able to get people from outside.
Absolutely.
But I hope that Nawaf has a certain latitude in bringing independent people who do not belong to political parties. But I think most of the cabinet is going to be people with whom the parties have accepted as being their own. It's not going to be a totally independent cabinet. It cannot be. Otherwise, he will not get the votes. They're going to vote for him.
Well, Dr. Mahdisi, it was a great pleasure, and I think our people who watch this program would learn a lot from the kind of analysis and hope you had given them, and a procedural or steps that could be implemented. I hope this optimism comes because there's so many people in Lebanon and in the region whose lives and livelihood is at stake. So hopefully, maybe the next time we meet, and which hope would be soon, is we will
You're
see.
going to be in Beirut, right? You're coming to Beirut, aren't you?
I know, but we would like to see how these hopes could be
fulfilled. Thank you very much, Atif. I really enjoyed talking to you as always, as usual. And I look forward to seeing you very soon. And many thanks for this fantastic interview.
You know that I usually blame you. You brought me into economics. I was not going.
Yeah, that's good. Is that bad? That's good.
Yeah, but
economics has benefited.
But no, listen, the beauty is you are credited with me into what I have done.
Good.
I thank you
I'm happy.
For excellent teaching, supervision, and friendship. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Atif. Great to be with you.
Thank you.